The days seemed to pass quickly for Taehyung and Y/N. Despite the challenges, they found solace in their small family moments. Every night, they slept peacefully, with their little ball of happiness, KIMTAEHYUNG, nestled between them. Taehyung was a handful, mischievous, curious, and endlessly adorable. His chubby cheeks were a testament to Taehyung's meticulous care during Y/N's pregnancy. Despite juggling the responsibilities of an entire country, Taehyung had always made time to ensure Y/N's diet, yoga, and cravings were perfectly managed. The result was their little bundle of joy, Taehyung, a cute and chubby baby who brought endless laughter into their lives. But today, Taehyung's mischief had reached new heights. Y/N, Aisha. Taehyung.
Ah.
She sighed in frustration, looking at the little troublemaker who was sitting in the middle of Taehyung's shattered shoe collection. Taehyung, with his goofy smile and the tiny teeth just breaking through, giggled at his mother. He seemed proud of his accomplishment. Y/N, picking him up, you are a bad boy, you know that? She held him close, unable to stay angry at his adorable face. Why do you always want to climb inside the cupboard? Taehyung giggled again, his innocent eyes sparkling with mischief. Y/N.
Ah.
Wei. She gently scolded him while hugging him closer. I left you alone for 5 minutes, and you already turned the wardrobe into your playground. She glanced at the mess around her, Taehyung's designer shoes scattered all over the floor, making room for Taehyung's tiny self in the open cupboard. Despite her frustration, Y/N couldn't help but smile. Her little boy was growing fast, and his curiosity seemed boundless. Just then, the door creaked open, and Taehyung entered the room. He paused, taking in the scene before him, Y/N sitting on the floor with Taehyung in her lap, surrounded by his scattered shoes. A small smile tugged at the corner of his lips. Taehyung, teasingly, what happened here? He leaned against the doorframe, his deep voice laced with amusement. Y/N, sighing dramatically, your son happened. He decided your shoes were in his way and needed to be relocated. Taehyung chuckled and walked over to them. He crouched down next to Y/N and ruffled Taehyung's hair. Taehyung.
Ah.
So you're a little troublemaker, huh? He kissed the top of Taehyung's head. Just like your mom. Y/N, playfully hitting him, yeah. Don't compare me to this little tornado. Taehyung's laughter echoed in the room as he sat down beside them. He looked at the mess again but shrugged it off. His priorities had shifted long ago. Shoes could be replaced, but moments like this, seeing his family happy, were priceless. Taehyung, softly, you know, seeing you both like this, it makes everything else fade away. The stress, the responsibilities, nothing matters as long as I have you too. Y/N's heart swelled at his words. She leaned her head on his shoulder, feeling the warmth of his presence. Y/N, whispering, we're lucky to have you, Taehyung, unaware of the tender moment between his parents, babbled something incoherent, causing both Taehyung and Y/N to laugh. Taehyung, and I'm lucky to have both of you. He kissed Y/N's forehead gently. For a moment, everything was perfect. The challenges of being parents, the stress of the outside world, all of it melted away in the comfort of their little family. But, of course, the peace didn't last long. Taehyung wriggled out of Y/N's arms, determined to continue his mischief. He crawled toward the open cupboard again, making both Taehyung and Y/N laugh. Y/N, laughing, no, you don't, young man. Your cupboard adventures are over for today. As she scooped him up once more, Taehyung stood up and started picking up the scattered shoes. Taehyung, teasing, maybe we should get him his own cupboard. It seems like ours isn't enough for him anymore. Y/N, smiling, maybe, or maybe we just need to baby-proof this place better. Taehyung nodded, a thoughtful look crossing his face as he continued cleaning up. But underneath the teasing and the playful banter, both knew that no matter what challenges came their way, whether it was Taehyung's mischief or the demands of Taehyung's presidency, they would face them together. Camera zooms in on a small, run-down local school. The playground is filled with children, but Jihoo, dressed in an old, worn-out uniform, stands alone, her head hung low. She feels the weight of the stairs, the whispers that are not so quiet, and the mocking laughter that follows her everywhere she goes. Jihoo, thinking, how did it come to this? She bites her lip, trying to hold back tears. Her once perfectly manicured nails are now chipped, and her hands tremble slightly. Suddenly, a group of girls approaches her, smirking. The leader of the group, Minji, a girl with long braids, steps forward, blocking Jihoo's path. Minji, mockingly, look who it is. The princess of the playground. Oh wait, you're not a princess anymore, are you, Jihoo? The other girls giggle, their eyes full of judgment. Jihoo clenches her fists, trying to walk past them, but Minji steps in front of her again. Jihoo, softly, please, just let me go. Minji, laughing, and why should we? You never let anyone go when you were on top. Remember how you used to treat us? Acting like you were better than everyone else. Well, look at you now. Camera zooms in on Jihoo's face, her eyes welling up with tears. She remembers all the times she treated others poorly, the way she belittled them because she thought she was superior. Now, she feels the sting of karma. Jihoo, whispering to herself, I deserve this. I was horrible. Minji notices Jihoo's vulnerability and pushes her lightly on the shoulder, causing her to stumble back. Minji, don't think you can cry your way out of this. This is what you get for being a bully. Jihoo finally breaks down, her knees hitting the dirt as she sobs quietly. The girls leave her behind, laughing as they walk away. Camera zooms out on Jihoo, sitting alone on the ground, hugging her knees to her chest. The once confident, wealthy girl now feels the weight of her actions, the loneliness of being on the other side. Karma has come full circle, and Jihoo realizes she can't escape the consequences of her past. Taehyung was in his sleek, modern office, working with his secretary. They were discussing some business matters when Taehyung's personal phone rang. Secretary, Mr. Kim, about the new project. Taehyung.
Ah.
Excuse me. I need to take this. He answered the call, his expression immediately shifting to concern as he saw Y/N's name on the screen. He motioned for his secretary to step aside, creating some distance. Taehyung, hello? Y/N, anxiously, Tae. Taehyung's brow furrowed in worry, sensing something was wrong. Taehyung, what's wrong? Are you okay? Y/N, taking a deep breath, almost crying, Yeri, she became a meal for a hungry monster. Taehyung froze, his eyes widening in shock. He struggled to process Y/N's distressing words. Taehyung, where are you? Y/N, at my shelter, with Jihoo. Taehyung, what about her? Y/N, she's the eyewitness, Tae. She saw everything. Taehyung's grip on the phone tightened as he absorbed the gravity of the situation. His heart ached at the thought of a 12-year-old witnessing such horror. Taehyung, oh god. Y/N, Yeri's in the ICU. Officer Lee brought Jihoo to the shelter because she's too shocked and scared to be around any men, you know how police stations are full of them. He thought it'd be safer for her here. Taehyung ran a hand through his hair, his mind racing as he considered the next steps. Y/N, should I go to the hospital to see Yeri? Taehyung, no. Let the police investigate first. Jihoo could still be in danger. I'll have Secretary Choi arrange for her to be sent to a safe house. Y/N, I can take her home, Tae. Taehyung, no need. Y/N's frustration was evident. She knew Taehyung's protective instincts were strong, but she also knew Jihoo was not the same girl she once was. Y/N, Taehyung, she's not that Jihoo anymore. She won't harm Taewoo. She's scared, shaken, and I really think it would help if you came to see her. Taehyung considered her words, his expression softening. He let out a deep sigh, running a hand down his face. Taehyung. Y/N, what do you mean? I'm going home with her. Meet us there as soon as you can. Taehyung, as you order, Mrs. Kim. Taehyung ended the call, his mind already planning how to ensure Jihoo's safety and how to handle the situation with Yeri. He stood up, calling his secretary back in, his face now a mask of determination. Taehyung and Y/N's home is calm, the kind of calm that feels almost unnatural given the storm of emotions brewing within. Taehyung, with a serious but gentle demeanor, carefully leads Jihoo through the front door. Jihoo's eyes dart around nervously, overwhelmed by the strange mix of comfort and the unsettling reality of her recent trauma. Her small hands clutch the sides of her jacket, and her gaze remains fixed on the floor. Taehyung, softly, Jihoo, I know this place might feel different and strange right now, but you're safe here. We're going to take good care of you. Jihoo's eyes well up with tears as she slowly lifts her head, meeting Taehyung's gaze. The fear in her eyes is palpable, a stark reminder of the horrifying events she's witnessed. Taehyung kneels down to her level, his face filled with empathy and understanding. Taehyung, gently, I'm really sorry, Jihoo. I know you're scared, and I wish there was something more I could do to take away what you've been through. Jihoo, whispering, voice trembling, I didn't want to see any of that. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to be a bad girl. Taehyung's heart aches as he listens to Jihoo's broken words. He places a comforting hand on her shoulder, his expression softening even more. Taehyung, reassuringly, you're not a bad girl, Jihoo. What happened wasn't your fault. No one should have to see what you did. You're brave for facing it, and we're here for you. Y/N approaches quietly, her own heart heavy with concern for Jihoo. She reaches out and gently holds Jihoo's other hand, offering a supportive squeeze. Y/N, softly, Jihoo, it's okay to feel this way. What happened was terrible, and it's okay to be upset. You're safe now, and we're going to help you through this. Jihoo, crying softly, I'm so scared. I keep seeing it in my dreams. The monster, he was so horrible. Taehyung's eyes reflect a mix of sadness and determination. He pulls Jihoo into a gentle hug, holding her close in a tender embrace. Taehyung, whispering, you don't have to go through this alone. We're going to make sure you're safe and that you get the help you need. I promise you, things will get better. Jihoo clings to Taehyung, her sobs muffled against his shoulder. The warmth of his embrace provides a small measure of comfort amidst the storm of her emotions. Y/N, softly, we're going to get you through this, Jihoo. You're not alone. We'll be by your side every step of the way. The hospital room is dimly lit, with the soft beep of heart monitors filling the silence. Yeri lies on the hospital bed, her face pale and her breaths shallow. Despite the heavy sedation, her eyes remain open, filled with regret and sorrow. Jihoo sits beside the bed, her face streaked with tears, clutching Yeri's hand as if trying to hold on to the last fragments of her fading presence. Y/N stands quietly in the corner, her heart heavy with a mix of sadness and tension. Yeri, her voice weak but clear, Jihoo, tearfully, Mom, please, don't, Yeri, struggling to speak, I need to tell you. I need to make things right before I go, Jihoo, sobbing, don't talk like that, you're going to be okay. Yeri, shaking her head slowly, no. Jihoo, listen. I'm so sorry for everything. I should have been better. Jihoo's sobs grow louder, but she tries to steady her voice, desperate to hear her mother's comforting words. Yeri, softly, I was wrong, so wrong. I let my greed and selfishness consume me. I didn't listen to the good people around me. I treated everyone poorly. Yeri's gaze shifts to Y/N, her eyes filled with a mix of sorrow and regret. Yeri, whispering, Y/N. I'm so sorry for what I did to you. I lied. I lied about Tae being Jihoo's father. I was selfish, and I hurt you more than I can ever make up for. Y/N's eyes are misty, her hands clasped tightly together. She nods, acknowledging Yeri's apology but unable to find the words to respond. Yeri, turning her gaze back to Jihoo, my dear. I want you to be a better person than I was. Don't let material things rule your life, always respect and listen to what Tae and Y/N say. Jihoo, crying, Mom, please, don't go. Yeri, her voice growing fainter, I hope you can forgive me. I hope you'll be kind and loving, even when it's hard. Yeri's eyes begin to close, her breathing becoming more labored. She makes one final effort to speak, her voice barely a whisper. Yeri, whispering, "Forgive me, for the pain I caused." "I'm sorry," as Yeri takes her last breath, her eyes close gently, leaving Jihoo holding her hand, tears streaming down her face. The heart monitor emits a steady, low beep before falling silent, signaling the end of Yeri's suffering. Y/N approaches Jihoo, gently pulling her into a comforting embrace. The room is filled with a heavy silence, broken only by Jihoo's quiet sobs and Y/N's soothing words. Y/N, whispering softly, "It's okay, Jihoo. We'll get through this together." They got the culprit. It was Yeri's one of ex. Yeri used him for money and he took revenge, but he did something unforgivable. A few days have passed since Yeri's passing, and the atmosphere in the Kim household is somber. Jihoo has become a shadow of her former self, quiet and withdrawn, rarely speaking or interacting with anyone. The once lively girl now spends most of her time in solitude, lost in her own thoughts. Y/N watches her with growing concern, her heart aching for the troubled child. As night falls, Taehyung and Y/N sit together in their bedroom. The room is dimly lit by a soft bedside lamp, casting a warm glow over their faces. Taehyung is flipping through a stack of papers, while Y/N, unable to focus on her work, stares out of the window, lost in thought. Y/N, breaking the silence as Taehyung, "I'm really worried about Jihoo." Taehyung, looking up, "What do you mean?" Y/N, sighing, "She's not the same anymore. She's so quiet and distant. I think she needs professional help. We should consider taking her to a psychiatrist." Taehyung, nodding, "I agree. She needs support to work through her trauma." Y/N, hesitant, "But I don't think it's necessary for her to leave the house. I can take her to the psychiatrist and bring her back here daily." Taehyung, firmly, "I think it would be better if she stayed at the shelter. It's not just about therapy. The environment there will provide her with the support she needs. She'll be around other kids and women who have gone through similar experiences. Seeing how they've overcome their difficulties might help her heal faster." Y/N, surprised, "But why does she have to stay there? We can manage here. And if she's there, it means she won't be with us every day." Taehyung, explaining, "If she stays here, she'll see us together every day, including Taewoo. She might feel jealous or think that if things were different, she might have been happier. It's important for her to have a neutral space where she can focus on her recovery without these constant reminders." Y/N, frustrated, "I understand that, but isn't it a bit too extreme? We can manage it here, and I can take her for daily sessions." Taehyung, gently, "It's not just about the daily sessions. Jihoo has been conditioned to think a certain way by Yeri. It will take time to change that mindset. At the shelter, she will be away from the familiar environment and the daily interactions with us, which might be affecting her more than we realize. Plus, seeing other kids and women in similar situations might provide her with a sense of understanding and solidarity." Y/N, pausing, reflecting on Taehyung's words, "You have a point. It's just hard to let go." Taehyung, softly, "I know it's difficult. But it's about doing what's best for Jihoo. We want her to recover and become a better person. We will do everything we can to support her, but sometimes that means making tough decisions." Y/N, sighing, resigned, "All right. If you think this is the best way, then we'll do it." Taehyung, reassuringly, "We'll make sure she gets the best care. And we'll be there for her every step of the way." Y/N nods, though her expression remains pensive. The conversation ends, and they sit together in silence, each lost in their thoughts about Jihoo's future and the challenges ahead. The scene fades with Y/N and Taehyung sharing a moment of understanding, both determined to support Jihoo in her journey towards healing, even if it means making difficult choices. The morning sun casts a golden glow over the Kim household. The living room is filled with the sounds of Taehyung and Y/N enjoying a playful moment with their baby, Taewoo. Taehyung, with his usual infectious laughter, is making funny faces at Taewoo, who responds with delighted giggles. Y/N stands nearby, her heart full as she watches the scene unfold. Taehyung, laughing, "Peekaboo. Where did you go?" Taewoo claps his tiny hands and giggles, clearly enjoying his father's playful antics. Y/N, with a warm smile, is busy preparing breakfast, but her gaze often drifts towards the heartwarming scene. Taehyung, playfully, who's a happy little baby today? Taewoo's laughter fills the room, making the atmosphere joyful and lively. Y/N sets the breakfast table with pancakes and coffee, her movements light and cheerful. In the corner of the room, Jihoo sits quietly, her expression a mix of jealousy and irritation. She watches the interaction between Taehyung, Y/N, and Taewoo with a cold, distant gaze. The contrast between her demeanor and the lively atmosphere is stark. Jihoo's eyes occasionally dart towards Taewoo, a hint of bitterness evident in her gaze. Jihoo, muttering to herself, "They're so perfect, so happy," her jealousy and irritation are palpable as she observes Taewoo receiving all the attention and affection. The sight of Taehyung and Y/N interacting so lovingly with their child only deepens her feelings of exclusion and resentment. Taehyung notices Jihoo's intense stare and walks over to her, still holding Taewoo, who is now reaching out towards Jihoo with a curious gaze. Taehyung, gently, "Good morning, Jihoo. How are you doing today?" Jihoo, coolly, "I'm fine." Taehyung, trying to be encouraging, "Why don't you come over and join us for breakfast? It's a family gathering, and we'd love for you to be part of it." Jihoo's gaze remains fixed on Taewoo, her jealousy simmering beneath the surface. She can't shake the feeling of being an outsider, watching a scene that she wishes she could be a part of. Y/N, observing the interaction from the kitchen, walks over with a concerned expression. She places a hand on Jihoo's shoulder. Y/N, gently, "Jihoo, we really want you to feel at home here. It's important for us to make sure you're comfortable and happy." Jihoo, sighing, "I don't belong here. It's clear that Taewoo and we don't mix well." Y/N's concern deepens as she watches Jihoo's struggle. She exchanges a worried glance with Taehyung, who nods slightly in understanding. The tension in the room is evident, and Y/N realizes that Jihoo's presence is affecting the family's harmony. Y/N, softly, "Taehyung and I have been thinking, maybe it would be best for Jihoo to stay at the shelter for a while." Jihoo's head snaps up, her eyes widening in surprise. She looks between Y/N and Taehyung, her feelings a turbulent mix of shock and sadness. Jihoo, hurt, "You think I'm not welcome here?" Taehyung, calmly, "It's not about being unwelcome. It's about making sure you're in an environment where you can heal and adjust. The shelter has resources and other kids who have been through similar experiences." Y/N, trying to explain, "It's important for you to be around others who understand what you're going through. It might help you feel better and allow you to see things from a different perspective." Jihoo's eyes fill with tears as she looks at Taewoo, who is now reaching out for her with a curious, innocent gaze. She realizes that her jealousy and bitterness might affect Taewoo negatively, and she doesn't want to be a source of discord in their home. Taehyung, gently, "It's about giving you the space and support you need to heal. We want to help you, but we also need to think about the well-being of our family." Jihoo nods slowly, her face a mask of resignation. She understands the reasoning but feels the sting of rejection deeply. She glances one last time at Taewoo, who is now reaching out to her with a small smile. Jihoo, softly, "All right. I'll go to the shelter." As Jihoo prepares to leave, the atmosphere in the room is somber. Taehyung and Y/N watch her with a mix of concern and sadness. They hope that this decision will ultimately lead to a better outcome for Jihoo and their family. The scene fades with Jihoo walking away, her emotions a complex blend of resignation and hope for a brighter future. The morning's joyful interactions have given way to a more serious tone, highlighting the challenges of balancing family dynamics and individual healing.